today. So every day we start fresh because we can't affect the past, but we damn sure can make a difference today.
Welcome to episode 79 of Shop Talk. It's Jennifer.
And Kari.
And we're back with a recap of 515 of The Rookie and 115 of Rookie Feds. We may not have had Valentine's Day episodes this week, but it's okay because we'll get them next week. But this week we got to see some relationships, closures, action-packed episodes, setting up for another story arc, all of the good stuff. So we've got a long one tonight, so we'll just dive right in. First, we'll start with the news. We've got some episode descriptions. Kari, do you want to start us off with the first one?
Sure. So 516 of The Rookie will air next Tuesday. And the team must stop a militia from detonating a highly combustible truck in their possession. Meanwhile, officers Nolan, Thorson, Juarez, and Detective Harper search for 3 men who may have been exposed to Ebola and detain them for quarantine. So, definitely going to be interesting. Although the promo didn't exactly tell both those stories. I mean, I get it. It's 30 seconds, but
yeah, it was kind of just like a one-sided promo.
Yeah.
So, the episode description for 116 of Rookie Feds airs next week, and it's titled For Love and Money. And it says it's Valentine's Day and love is in the air. The FBI teams up with the LAPD to take down a shady Casanova linked to a notorious drug lord. While the rest of the team celebrates with their new loves, Simone connects with someone new. Interesting. We didn't see much in this promo either, besides them in the elevator.
Yeah.
And Laura being a complete softie. She is.
I totally called her being like anti-Valentine's Day, but like I didn't foresee the like
you didn't have
flowers.
That on your bingo card?
No, I didn't, because I was just like, she's gonna like not want anything, like make it like explicitly clear not to get her anything like ever.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. I mean, the flowers have to be from Mark. If they're not from Mark, I don't understand.
Unless she's got like a secret admirer, but like
that'd be bizarre. She could probably figure it out. Yeah, she could probably figure it out.
But like, I mean, I would think you would have to have some type of clearance to send like flowers to the FBI. Like they're not just gonna let anything walk in there, show up there.
Yeah. I don't
know. What if it's like Brendon messing with her?
That'd be hilarious.
I don't know why, but like I could see that. I could see that happening. Or Carter could be one of them.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That would be hilarious. But then like funny. Why mess with her? Like, no, you have to get flowers for your girlfriends.
I mean, they better. They both still have their girlfriends, so they better. I was seriously worried about them. I was like, oh no, like they're both headed for trouble for a second. But
I don't know. I wasn't really worried about Brendon and Antoinette, but I was a little bit more worried about Carter and Fortune. Just because they're like still starting off. Like Brendon and Antoinette, they've went on a date, you know, they've had it. They've had a little bit of time. So
yeah. And then so we also have the following week, the new episode of Rookie Feds. We have that episode description. It's 117, titled Payback. And Garza and the team are on the hunt for a ruthless gang leader on a mission for revenge. Atlas comes to town to reconnect with Laura, but the two cannot seem to see eye to eye. And Simone and Carter grapple with letting go of old grudges.
Mark and Laura tension? No, don't like that. Don't like that.
I'm torn because I like them, but I'm also here for angst. So
yeah,
I don't mind it, but I just can't because they argue about work all the time anyway. So it can't be that.
They're literally like Lopez.
Yeah.
Like they argue and that's like their foreplay and they argue about work. Lopez doesn't necessarily argue about work because they work together, but it's not like day in and day out. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're like mini Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
And two just coincidentally happen to be blonde with blue eyes.
True.
Yeah. That'll be interesting though to see like Simone and Carter letting go with old grudges too. So
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. It seems interesting. So we're at least on for 3 weeks straight.
Uh-huh.
And we'll be up to episode 17 by the end of the month. So that'll leave us with 5 episodes left.
Oh gosh. Getting down to the wire.
There's gotta be like a longer break somewhere in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so Dylan Conrique released a new song, Gatekeeper, last week. And she's going on tour again. So that'll be fun. If you can see her on tour, go check her out. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I love her music.
Mm-hmm.
She just has such like a calming voice.
Yeah, I've had her like last, I don't know, like 4 singles on repeat, like
Yeah.
all this week. It's ridiculous. Eric and Roslyn have their podcast. He said Ayadiho, so be sure to check that out. They're always posting like the little sneak peeks on their podcast Instagram page, and then they share it on their Instagram stories and whatnot.
Yeah.
So,
and Eric's been like recording at work in his trailer, which is fun. I mean, I'm sure not fun for him, but it's fun to see.
Do what you gotta do.
Yeah. This week's episode was funny though, because they were talking about Rosalind's like boob job. Yeah. And all of like her thoughts on it and kind of his, and it was funny. It was good. Yeah. So and last but not least, we had a dedication to Annie Wershing on last night's episode of The Rookie. So it was lovely to see that. And she was just remembered so fondly by everyone. And like, it was so special to see that in all of the posts that they did. And, just all of, even the guest stars that she worked with too, like Harold and all of the other like actors that aren't regulars on The Rookie, even kind of commented and got in on paying tribute and, just remembering her. So it was touching to see that. But that is about it for the news. We'll just kind of go ahead and dive right on into the episodes now. And we'll start off with The Rookie because, first episode of the night. So first we have Balin and John's like mom passing away. This, I don't know. It was more of a comedic storyline for me than anything.
Yeah.
The Rookie is pretty comedic, but this one was just, it was very John Nolan-ish. I'll say that. Yeah. But they're in Foxburg, like they pull up to his mom's house and Bailey's like trying to be all positive. She's like, we're going to do this. Like, it'll be fine. And Nolan's like, I just want to do this and get out of here. And it turns out that they had a heck of a travel day too. So, like they don't have luggage. They just have the clothes on their backs. And they walk in and they find some random guy who comes to the conclusion that like they must be one of Evelyn's customers. And when asked who he is, he's like, oh, I'm John Nolan, her son. And the real John Nolan's like, really? I thought you're a cop. Like, why aren't you dressed as a cop or anything? And this guy he comes clean and he introduces himself as Josh. And he's like, it was Evelyn's idea to impersonate John Nolan to like help sell her line of self-defense gear that he apparently gave her his blessing for. So Bailey sees it and sees the note that it's endorsed by Captain John Nolan. And Josh is just like, yeah, I gotta go. Like, sorry about your mom, dude. And I don't know. I was watching it because this was a sneak peek and I was like, only John Nolan would get impersonated. Like only John Nolan. But like even Bailey's comebacks to it, like, oh, I didn't know that you got a promotion or whatever. It was just hilarious too. So So Bailey's like, there's a lot of work that has to be done. And she just like asks him jokingly about like how he feels about controlled burns. And he's just like, I'm not going to be any fun on this trip. And Bailey, once again, is just positive and optimistic. And she's like, I'm enough fun for both of us. Like, it's fine. And so they're like in in town where like all of these other little shops are. And she's asking him like if he's sure he doesn't want to just have a small funeral. And John's like, well, she didn't really have any friends. And, I mean, it just like he just wants to put this all behind him. And so he's like getting out of the car, out of this like smart car and what looks to be like a tight parking space, but he's like parallel parked, so he can't obviously like push the door out very far. And it was funny, like the way that he just like tried to get out of the car and like had to squish himself in. And so a woman named Stacy comes up and like hugs John, and she apologizes for not calling when she heard about his mom and all that. And so we find out that Stacy grew up with John and obviously has embarrassing stories about him. And while I was watching this, because I watched this not live and I wasn't on Twitter before, so I was like, she's the banker, right? Like she looks like the banker from the pilot. And I was like, but maybe not, like maybe they recasted her. And so Stacy like meets Bailey too or whatever, and John tells her that Stacy is the banker, like he saved her life or whatever. And so after she like walks away, Bailey's like, she asks if they ever like dated or hooked up, and John's like, yeah, once in high school, but I was an idiot and she moved on, like nothing else there. And so John and Bailey start to like walk more, and then he sees a hearse like driving through town, and he of course stops it in the middle of the road. And at the time there's no one behind the hearse, but obviously like the longer you stay stopped, like the more cars are going to come up. And so he's like holding the driver up, like causing a line of cars behind the hearse. And Bailey and the driver are both like, let's pull over and talk. And John's like, no, it'll be fine. And it'll only take a minute. And so the driver Shirley tells him that cremation is his best choice and cheapest. And he's like, great, when can that be done? And so she's just like, I can get it done this afternoon, like no big deal. And so John kind of sets that up or whatever. So then Balin's like back at the house, they're taking out the trash, and she's wearing a shirt from like some box that she found labeled defective. And then we see a random truck pull up to the house, and they're like, okay, well, this isn't good. And a couple of guys get out of the truck and like John and ask John if it's true that Evelyn's dead. And so they start to like walk into the house, like they own the place. And John just stops them and he's like, well, like, how can I help you or whatever? And they claim that Evelyn has something that belongs to them, and they obviously want it back. And so they're like flashing their guns, and John does too, and he even shows his badge. And then when the second guy goes to reach for his gun, Bailey takes him down, and Nolan gets the gun from the first guy, like, Balin's got this handled. So he tells them to get into the truck and leave, or like he'll have Bailey beat up the first guy too. And he calls her his girlfriend in this. And then like after they leave or whatever, she's like, I'm your fiance. Like, why did you call me girlfriend? And he's like, because I thought it'd be funnier that way. I was like, I mean, it was funny. It was. But so when he's talking to the guys, he even threatens to get law enforcement involved too. And John's just like, well, maybe Josh, like my impersonator, knows more about them, like, and what they're up to. So Bailey and Nolan meet up with Josh, and he claims he doesn't know what the guys were looking for when they went to Evelyn's house. But John just doesn't believe it. He's like, you don't owe Evelyn anything. Like, the sooner you cut bait with her, the better. And Josh is just like, yeah, if I was smart, like, or Josh tells them that if they were smart, they'd move up their flight and get out of there. And it seems like quite a few people now have basically been like, John, just get out of town. Like, we know you don't want to be here. We like you, but like, listen, we don't even really want you here. Like, it's just trouble here. So, Bailey and John are going through more of Evelyn's things, and Bailey's just like amazed at how much stuff Evelyn has. And according to Bailey, she's like, the sheer volumes of scam is a little awe-inspiring. And Bailey like goes to smell some quote unquote shampoo, and she's like, that is not shampoo. So she pours out some of the bottle, and they think that it's heroin. And John just face palms like that, and that face palm was just, it was felt. It was a whole mood. I even face palmed for him. I was like, oh my God, this Evelyn was just a mess. Like, I'm sorry, she was. So John calls the sheriff in town, and he knew him from childhood too. Like, it's a very small town. And so the sheriff even says that sounds about right for Evelyn. And she was known in town for being a not so nice person. And he even shares that there's an entire file cabinet at the station on Evelyn, like due to the number of complaints that she received. And so the sheriff also just shares that the two guys who came before are at the center of the local drug trade in town. He's like, I'll take care of it or whatever. And so I don't know. At first I was like, well, my guess is that they're looking for that heroin, like same with Josh. But we find out that is not the case. So John is like, well, we might have a much easier way to talk to them. And so the next thing that we see is the two guys walking up to the house, and Balin's on the porch. And so like he gives them a bag, which I would assume has the money in it or the drugs or something. And, they ask about the guns, and no one's like, oh, I gave them to a cop who can actually arrest you. And then the sheriff just like pops out of the doorway like, hey, I'm here. Like, let me arrest you. And so John and Bailey are like working more in Evelyn's house, like cleaning it up. And Stacy stops by at the end, and she's like, yeah, I brought you dinner, figured you'd be busy or whatever. And so they hear like a noise, and it ends up being Josh, who broke in to steal the second set of Evelyn's car keys. And he's like, I'm a dead man if I don't get out of here. And so when he's asked about the heroin, Josh clearly doesn't know about it, and shares that him and Evelyn like sold a bunch of portable generators to get a group of people, basically a militia. And they're very unhappy about it, clearly. And so he's like, I can't just give them the money back, like it's gone. And John's like, well, you're not getting the car back because that's already been sold. And John tells Josh to pay Steve a visit at the sheriff's station and just turn himself in. And Josh is like, that's not gonna happen. So he goes to like walk out. We see him like fall down to the ground. He's been shot, and the house is taken under fire by the militia. So like the Steve, the sheriff, the state police, they're called. A militia member like gets in the house. Bailey finds tasers from one of Evelyn's scams and like gives one to Stacy. And so they end up tasing a couple of guys. And just as backup arrives, John finds fuzzy pink handcuffs in a box. Like, I don't even want to know what that scam was about. Like, I really don't.
Yeah. But that must have been where the rookie got the that one photo.
Yeah. That ended up being deleted.
Yeah.
So like they used them to restrain the militiamen, which like, I don't know, that just had to be weird to like put that on them. Yeah. So at the end of the episode, Balin's like walking through the house, they're getting ready to leave. And she's like, we could just hire someone to get rid of all this stuff. And she's like, just get the photo albums and let's go. And so they find this baseball that John had during his childhood, and like he reminisces on it and all of that. And she's like, just get rid of the stuff, sell the house, like you can still turn a healthy profit. And just as John is like coming around to that idea, Stacy shows up, and she's like, bad news, the bank is foreclosing on the house and it's a done deal. So basically he can't sell it. And John just laughs, and he's like, that's the perfect ending. Like, have the keys, deal with it, And so as Balin's finally leaving, a delivery guy like just shows up for Evelyn, and John ends up leaving the delivery guy to talk to Stacey, and he's like, I'm out. Like, this is no longer my issue. And Balin's just like laughing as they like walk off to go back to the airport or whatever. So it was funny. I mean, it was it was a good storyline. I feel like not in the sense that like his mom died, obviously, but like
Right.
it was a little comedic because just as they would like get going and like start getting on schedule, something else would happen. It's like that's very Balin. Like so. And then next we have Angela and Elijah. I liked how in this episode there were like two big storylines. It made it like easy to follow. But this one was crazy to say the least. So we open with Elijah and he's in bed, like, you know, he's woken up and just like immediately draws his gun. And he's like walking through or whatever, and he sees Angela in his kitchen. Which, like, I don't know, it was like what, 4 a.m., maybe 3 or 2, I don't know, something like that. And he doesn't even question how she got in, but he's kind of just like, okay, this is weird, but whatever. And she's like, relax. Like, if I wanted to kill you, you'd be dead already. And I'm just like, what a baddie. Like, she breaks in. Well, yeah, she gets in. And then she's like, just sitting there at his kitchen table. Like, wow, I aspire to be like her when I grow up. Like, not like badass, not like, oh yeah, let me just put death throats out or anything. So so Elijah like goes to get the woman that he was sleeping with, so she's a witness to their conversation, and Angela's like, no, your wife wouldn't be happy to read about her in the police report. And she's like, in addition to disarming your security alarm, I also disconnected your phone lines and jammed your cell. She got busy, like she was working quick in there. So he's like, well, if you're not there to kill me, then like what do you want? And she tells him that she's pregnant. He like congratulates her or whatever. And she's like, yeah, but one day you're gonna wake up and decide that you're not done playing with us. And she's like, I'm not wearing a wire, like, you know, I'm clean, I'm good here, I just want to talk. And so he asks if she's like given up or whatever, and she's like, if it was just me, like I'd fight you in the street and take you down, but I've got responsibilities. So she's offering the trade, and she offers a brill to him, which if you remember, a brill worked with La Fiera, and she just reminds him about hiding in the cabinet. And you know, once she mentions Abrill's name, Elijah's like, okay, go on, like, you know, I'm listening now. And so Angela's like going on and giving the update on Abrill, and you know, she's like, she's moving north, building her empire, building herself a FBI, DEA, LAPD task force. And Angela's on it. She's like, you know, I'll feed you intel from the inside so you can take her out. And Elijah just immediately passes. And Angela's like, well, Abrill knows that you were behind the hit on Moses's crew and they worked for her. And so she's like, she says that Abrill can't let that stand. So she's like on a mission to put him in the ground. And Elisha just questions, like, why not wait for his death? And Angela's like, because you could come out on top, and like, you have that ability, and you're just like confident that you can handle your own business. So Angela tells him to think about it. You know, she'd rather like not have the baby in prison. If he turns her down, she won't wait for a bro. Like, she has to do what she has to do to protect her family. So she leaves Elijah's house, and she gets in a Sprinter van, meeting with Garza and Laura, which, like, hi, we had a mini crossover. It was great. And so she tells him, you know, that it'll take more to get him on the hook, like, you know, but he could possibly take the bait. And so Laura's just like, well, it's a big risk, and like, it's your last chance to bow out. And Angela's like, I'm all in. So Monica and Angela are like walking through the station, and Monica's like all happy about what Angela did. Like, even she's even threatening to go to Gray's office and like demand that Angela is fired because she can like win over all of this. And so Angela tells her that like Elijah's gonna need all the help he can get, and asks if she knows about Abrill. And Monica's just not buying Angela's offer. Angela's like, okay, well, Abrill will like gut you just like everyone else in Elijah's orbit. And so Monica claims that like she never runs from a fight, and Angela's like, you won't even see it coming. She even calls her red. And Angela's just badass and like every part of this episode. So as Angela walks away from Monica, like she ends up making a call and she's like, you're up. And we cut over to Guatemala and we see Abril talking, or we see Wesley, and he's like, I'll see you at home or whatever. And at first I was like, I feel like this is foreshadowing. Like every part in this episode where it was like, I'll see you here, or I can't wait, or whatever. And I was like, I don't know, I just feel like that's foreshadowing. And then I
really?
remembered that the rookie wouldn't do us like that. So it's like, well, hopefully they won't.
I guess I was just having a lot of like flashbacks.
Yeah.
Just because of all the like references, and like it kind of came full circle with the Guatemala thing.
So, Abril comes in, finds Wesley, and she's like asking him how he got in, and he just tells her that everyone has a price and he's very rich. Which, like, yes, Wesley, flex that money. And so she asks him what he's bought, and he's like, well, I hope to have bought a deal with the devil. And so he brings out Moses Warden, and he's like, I know who killed his crew, and her crew. And he's like, I have an agenda, and they have a mutual enemy in Elijah. And so Wesley's like, yeah, he stabbed Lafayette in the back, like blah blah blah. And he's like, he's now stronger than ever, and the wind made him feel invincible. So Abril like questions Wesley and asks like that he's just willing to hand Elijah over to her. And so she mentions that Elijah's death will be on Wesley's conscience, and Wes just mentions that Elijah's threatened his family and he's got like no choice. So she then like continues on the family subject, and she brings up baby Jack, and she's like, he's gotten so big, like I follow Angela through a secret online account, which no, let's not do that. Like, let's leave the Lopez family alone.
Yeah, it was so weird. I was like, no.
Yeah.
None
Also, like, I don't know, like you literally just said that you have a secret account. Like, I don't know, Wesley is married to a police officer who can like find you. Like they can do a social scrub of that. So why are you saying that? Like she obviously wanted to be found or something. So also though, Wesley's eyes throughout this entire scene, like, oh my God. It's like they're not even blue, they're like a gray in this. I don't know. I was just like, wow. Like I have no words. You might have watched Brunson scenes like over and over, but I was like watching this scene of Wesley solely for his eyes.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Also I want to know like how, like, surely the jet piece of set is not like claustrophobic, but it looks like it would be, right? Like it doesn't look like it's very tall, but it has to be like kind of big in there for the cameras.
Yeah. And then you have actors that are, at least 6 feet. Not all of them, but quite a few.
So I was thinking, I was also like, okay, is this the same like private jet that Feds uses?
No, I don't know.
I mean, I would kind of think so. Or is it the same one as like Chenford used in 501?
Well, maybe that seems more, because it had like the same kind of like, not mood lighting, that's the wrong word, but like just shadows and like, you know, kind of tricks of the light to make it look more intense. And
obviously like they probably change out the interior, but I mean like the set overall. So so Abril like agrees to it, and she asks, if he knows what happens to him and Jack, like if he betrays the devil, and he just goes to leave and takes burner phone from her hand. So Gray, Nyla, Laura, and Garza are all like watching Wesley's meetup or whatever. And Brendon walks in and he's like apologizing for being late. And in both of these episodes from last night, like Brendon was late and was like, yeah, I'm late. Like, what about it? And so the team gives him an update, loops him in on who Abril is, and Laura points out that the file says Abril doesn't sleep, and she's just like questioning if that's possible. And I was like, well, Angela was with her for for a week 24/7 and never even saw her take a cat nap. And I don't know, I thought that this was very Laura Stenson of her, and she's like all intrigued, and she's like, I would love to interview her.
Mm-hmm.
And Garza is just like, yeah, no, that's not happening. Like, no, just let that go right now. So Brendon shares that Abril's girlfriend is coming to the States, and the DEA intercepted a call to Dalen Morales from Abril, like ordering her to come from LA. So rumor has it that Dalen like has murdered her entire family at age 16 on Christmas Day, which like ruthless. And she even taped the entire thing, like, and said that it was her audition tape. And so we see, like, we cut over to see Elijah getting into an SUV, and he's asking the passenger, one of his guys, about the intel. And, the guy's like, turns out that the cops' intel checks out, like the SUV, and, we're good to go. So the SUV is stopped by a pedestrian crossing the road, and it turns out that it's Aaron. And he's like running or whatever. And Lucy ends up running behind the car and putting like a tracker or listening device on it. And so, yeah, I don't know. It was just fun to see Aaron and Lucy like doing this and seeing them for the first time in the episode, because we were like, 12 or 13 minutes in and had only seen Angela, Elijah, and like Abril and Wesley, and then also Balin. Like, we haven't seen anyone else.
Yeah.
So it was fun to kind of see others. And so they rush like back to the car and listen in on the conversation. And so their contact in Guatemala is saying that Abril is mobilizing and hitters are en route, led by her girlfriend. And so Elijah's team is trying to find out more, and Elijah's just like, I need to hit them before like they have time to get set up. And so one of Elijah's guys is just like, yeah, well, we could take up Angela on her offer. And Elijah just like immediately shuts that down. Like, he's still not trusting her. And, he's like, I'll send her girlfriend home. I'll send Abril's girlfriend home in pieces. Like, if Abril like makes a move on me. And so we see Angela and Garza like awaiting Elijah's call. And Garza just like reassures her that Elijah will call. Like, he is so close to taking the bait. And so she's like, I'm so glad that you're confident in it or whatever, but I'm just not sure. And so Garza's just like, all we need is to give him a little push. Like, as soon as he finds out that Abril is after his guys, he's going to be begging Angela for her help. So we see a guy like brought into the interrogation room, and Tim's on the other side, like looking in. That's all that we see of Tim so far. And like, we don't even see him in the interrogation room. But Garza and him are looking into it, and Garza's just like, how the other teams do. And it turns out that all 5 of Elijah's top lieutenants are in custody. Like, everything went as planned. And so they're hoping that Elijah might just believe Abril is responsible, as long as like no one else saw the arrest. And so, like, they can't hold these lieutenants for 12 hours. Or they can only hold them for 12 hours. And they're allowed to make a phone call. So Tim's like, wonder if that's enough to spook Elijah. So Garza's like, well, we're not done like turning up the heat, because the murder judge kept a diary. And so Laura and Brendon are on their way to talk to Monica. So we see Monica on the phone with Elijah, who's not happy. She hasn't heard anything, like, but we'll check the sources inside the department. And Brenson ends up ambushing her with the warrant for the arrest, just as she like hangs up with Elijah. And she's like, I want to read the warrant, like, that's my right or whatever. And so they also want to seize case files from her home and office. And so another warrant's being written up for that. But Monica brings up like attorney-client privilege, and Brendon snaps back with facts, and like his smile and sass just sent me. Like, it was adorable.
Yeah.
And so Monica's obviously not happy, because why would she be? And so she wants to walk away, but Laura like pulls out the cuffs, and they're just not having it.
Yeah, she's like, arrest time. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. Oh my God, they're so sassy. I love it.
Like, what did she expect? You can't like talk to FBI agents like that and not have them just be like, no, like you have to listen now. This is what's gonna
Right.
happen.
Like you literally work with criminals. Like
Yeah.
you have to know that that's what's going to happen.
Hmm.
So we see the plane like exit the tarmac and Garza just shows up saying that like he shows up to see Abril and he's like, when we see a last minute plane from a targeted region in a plan registered to a shell company connected to a trafficker, like it sets off alarm bells. And so Abril's like, well, do you have a warrant? And he's like, airports have a different set of rules than the rest of the country when it comes to search and seizure. And he's like, if you want to fly, like you have to comply. Which Garza was just like, he was coming in with everything, the rhymes, the facts. I was like, okay. And we even got to see him speak Spanish, which was fun.
Yeah.
And so she tells them to search the plane, like, she's got nothing to hide. And Garza is like, great, it'll take us all day. Like, we're gonna search every part of this plane, even the little rivets. And he tells her that her and her guys are gonna sit in a small room that's uncomfortable and talk about why they're there. So we go back over to the bureau. Monica's sitting in an interrogation room, and Wesley and Garza walk in. And she is not having any of this. Like seeing Wesley just like kind of set her off. And so Garza's just like, you've been apprised of your charges and, you should have the chance to address them or whatever. And she's just like, I'll wait for my lawyer. And so Garza reminds her that she did bribe a federal judge and they believe that she's responsible for his death. And that's not her real problem, though. Like, her real problem is she failed her boss and she exposed Elijah's operations to an FBI investigation. And, they tell her that one day soon, whether she's under house arrest or jail, like, he's going to have her killed. And so she's still not convinced by it. She's like, I'm not going to betray my oath. Like, I don't want witness protection offered either. And she's like, I'd rather be shanked in prison. And I'm like, I wouldn't say that if I was you. Like, no, I would not say that.
Yeah, it's just a graphic choice of words.
Yeah. Like, I don't like her, but I'm just like, no, there could have been other words used, I feel like. So we cut over to Elijah. He's like on the phone asking about what Monica was arrested for. And Lucy and Aaron are still like listening and trailing behind or whatever. And so Elijah tells the person on the other line that like he's going to call back in 10 minutes. And like if they don't have an answer, they'll go missing too. So the guy in the passenger seat, asks what he's doing and, like saying that over the phone, that's not a good look. So the SUV like rolls up to Angela. She gets in. Like they run detectors over her, making sure she has no wires. And the passenger turns up the radio so Lucy and Aaron can't hear him, like can't hear them. And that way Elisha knows that no other ears are listening. And so he tells Angela that he's accepting her offer and like he wants her to tell him how to take down Abril's hitters and her. And she tells him that like he doesn't have much time, but Wesley says that doesn't matter. But Elijah says that doesn't matter. Like he's got firepower for days. And so she tells him Abril's location and the team, she's got. And basically like Abril's there to hit Elijah and like fly home. And so Elijah's like, well, this is a goodbye, like unless something goes wrong. I'm like, again, why are we foreshadowing? Like, what are we doing here? Obviously, once we get to the end, it's like, okay, well, that was foreshadowing, but not in a bad way. So Elijah like tells his guys to, get a team together, recon the location. They'll hit tonight if everything's good. So later in the episode, like we get to the recon and Elijah's team is watching the house. And Selena's dancing in it, acting as Brill with a couple of other guys. And Angela and Brenton are watching Elijah's team. So Elijah's team obviously thinks, that Selena is a Brill and everything's good. So, but we end up seeing Nyla, Tim, and other cops in the house too, like ready to take down Elijah and his team when they walk in. And so Angela says that Elijah will want to be there for the hit. So it's just kind of like a waiting game because he's close, but still not close enough. So Lucy and Aaron are still following Elijah, like, still listening in. And one of his guys is like, well, maybe we should wait until later. And Elijah's like, no, don't think so. Like, we should move and just get this done and over with. And so Elijah pulls up to the house. Selena and the other guys like move further back. Selena picks up a long gun. She's in this like beautiful outfit, and everyone's in possession. So Elijah's like walking up to the house. We see like Angela and Brenton get out of the van, and like Aaron and Lucy kind of like jog over to like get in position too. And as Aaron and Lucy are getting in position, Aaron kicks a water bottle by mistake, and that ultimately spooks Elijah. Like he hears it, sees no one else on the street, and so he ends up calling it off. And so Angela's determined though to get them, but Brendon just pulls her back, which I loved that it was Brendon who pulled her back. I don't know why, but I do, because I just love Brendon Akers.
He just cares.
Yeah. I also loved Brendon and Angela working together. I was like, more of this trio, please.
It was so great.
Yeah. But yeah, so Brendon like pulls her back, and he's like, it'll only be for gun charges, like that won't hold him for long. And Laura's like, we just have to go back to work, like we'll find another way to get him. So Elijah's still around, which honestly I'm here for. I don't know why.
It's just so intense because it's like you just like, especially at the end, like when everyone was like waiting to get him, it was just like silent, like so silent. It was so creepy, but so well done.
The music, I was like, oh my God, it had me on the edge of my seat. So I mean, I saw somewhere, because I only watched like more than half of it after it aired, and I'd seen someone talk about Aaron kicking the water bottle, and I was like, oh, like what happened with that? And so I watched that like before we started recording, and I was like, oh man, that was like such a good scene though. Like they were so close to having him.
Well, I didn't originally catch that it was him that like kicked it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's about it for the Angela, Lopez, Elijah stuff. So I don't know. I'm kind of glad that Elijah's still sticking around. Like, I don't know, but I like his arc. And I feel like it gives us a lot of good like Angela and Wesley stuff, and not so much Nolan. Like I feel like with Rosalind, we had a lot of Nolan stuff. Anytime Oscar comes in, it's Nolan. Like, I don't know, this is very much like Angela and Wesley storyline. So yeah, so we just have a little bit on Lopez because they had a cute little moment at the end, which I don't know, basically it was just like foreshadowing to me. I was like, I don't know, I was very much in a foreshadowing mood. I'm like watching out for that.
If it means they'll buy their island, then sure, I'm so here for for that.
Just don't like do anything to them, please. But Lopez is talking, her head is in his lap, like it's literally the cutest thing I've ever seen. And Wesley's all worried, Angela reassures him that they'll have units like parked in the front and back of house 7. And she's like, Garza sent a very clear message to Elijah that like we're off limits. And she's like, I think he'll listen for the near future, like while he figures out how much exposure he's facing. And Wesley is just like, did you really threaten to fight him in the street? And she's like, yeah, but it was all bluff, like no big deal. She's like, I dust him with one shot, like it would not be that serious, or like not that big of a deal, like to fight him or anything. And so Wesley's like, well, if all of this fails, like I say we just break open the trust fund and like buy an island. And Angela's like, I'm not running, but we could buy the island anyway. And so Wesley then finally asks about Abril, and Angela thinks that they're in the clear for now, and like she can't have any idea about the con that they ran on Elijah. And then we cut over to Abril Dalen and Elijah, and he's offering to help them now, and they're all going to work together to probably take down Lopez. And I was like, all right, I don't like this now. Like, I really don't. So
Nope. Don't
yeah.
like it.
And the foreshadowing of her being like, we'll be fine, we'll be safe, I'm happy. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't want anything to happen though. Like, can we not?
Yeah.
So do you want to take us through the first listener thought?
Sure. Robin had asked, did Aaron kick the bottle when Team Alpha was walking up, or were they trying to make it look like Lucy did it? Oh. I'm not one to ask because I didn't realize that it was Aaron.
It was
first.
Aaron. They had like showed his foot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, because like people
Yeah.
were saying like Lucy looked at him or like gave him a look, which I also missed. So
She
I
gave him
didn't
a
know.
look like after, like when Elijah called it off.
Oh, okay.
She was kind of like pissed about it,
Gotcha.
which I would be too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Chunford Endgame said it was good but needed more Chunford. I agree, but I think next week they're gonna make up for it.
Yeah.
I hope so. At least they're writing together and it's Valentine's Day, so I guess we'll see.
Yep. Kim had said, I love that they brought Stacy into the episode. It was a nice touch. Everything from the rental car to the shootout didn't go well for John, but it made for a good episode. Fair.
Yeah.
It really was just like it just like snowballed all the bad things that were happening.
Like I said, it was very John Nolan like. I feel like a lot of things that happen to him, it starts off little and it just keeps snowballing.
Yeah.
So and then Blessed Turtle had said, I loved seeing everyone minus Nolan working together in tandem, including some feds, on the whole Elijah case. I hope that they do that more often. I wonder if Thorson's going to get any sort of blowback for messing up at the end. I hope not. I saw a lot of people say, and this was again after I watched the episode, that this felt more like a crossover than any of the other like previously advertised ones, and I thought the exact same thing.
I'm just trying to think. Okay, so it was there was Garza, Brendon, and Laura. Is that it?
Yeah, but they were in it more.
That's true. I mean, it was really because like the rookie account would like tag the rookie feds and all that. So,
but like, I don't know, it was more of a mini crossover to me. Like, it wasn't both shows coming back and like, working together. It was more just like a mini crossover, which was still fine.
I mean, I just feel like it was. I don't know. I just feel like some people just, feel a certain way about certain characters, and then so it's like no matter what, it like I don't know. Because I don't know. Anyway, continue.
I didn't see much chatter online before the episode, but I saw it after, and I guess
a lot.
Some people
there was a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
There was a lot.
I guess some weren't a fan. I don't know. I thought that this episode was solid. Like, I liked it.
Badass. I was like so here for it. I mean, granted, sure, I have a little bit of like a Brenson bias because like got to see them more over the night, but I don't know. I mean, I like episodes like this. I like because Brandon's just really good at playing a bad guy. So I don't know. I mean, I just really, I mean,
well, and I thought that it showcased the ensemble too.
Yeah.
Like, sure, we didn't get to see much of Selena or, I mean, a whole lot of like Aaron or anything, but it still got to show all of them like working together. Yeah. If Nolan wasn't there or something. Like, I saw someone tweet and they put it together very well. They were like, if something happened to him or whatever, like he couldn't work or something, that like the team could still get stuff done and it's still an ensemble with them. Yeah. Something like that. I'll have to find the tweet, but I was like, wow, that was so well put. Way better than how I'm explaining it now.
Well, like that was kind of like how I was thinking. I was like, I don't know if people, because not everyone's the hugest fan of, you know, John Nolan as a character. Um, but I was like, he wasn't even a part of, like, he was dealing with his own stuff, with
Yeah.
Bailey and everything. And so I was like, I kind of thought that like more people would like be, I don't like tune in or like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get it. Chenford's a huge draw. I do. I
Yeah.
understand.
But
So
like also, I don't know, everyone else is. Maybe that's just me because I love ensemble casts. So
yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I also am very here for Wesley Evers.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
like
here for
you.
everyone though.
Yeah, I know. We have our favorites, but we like everyone. But to each their own. I don't know. I can
Yeah.
like see, I can understand both sides of it. I
Right.
just there was just there, like I said, just a lot like posted online, which might be why we don't have as many thoughts because people already
Yeah.
shared their opinions.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I noticed that a lot of people tune in for Chunford, or like when there is a Chunford heavy episode, we get a lot more like chatter on Twitter and stuff, which
Yeah.
I mean, fair, like that makes sense. The rookie obviously knows that people watch for Chunford because they're the only ship name that is shared in videos with the ship.
Yeah.
So
Although they did caption with Lopez on that picture of Angela, like on Twitter, and they said like
okay,
Lopez's
yeah.
family in danger, and I was like, yes, they used
Yeah.
Lopez in the
Because
tweet.
I think at one point they were saying Westlow, and then they were using Lopez for Jackson and Angela as like a partnership. I'm like, no, it's mixed. Like it's mixed up.
Yeah, well, because like Sean and Alyssa were going back and forth as to which it was like a while
Yeah.
ago. So
Yeah. So
anyway,
as far as Aaron getting any sort of blowback for messing up the end, I don't know. I hope not. I thought for sure that Angela would like give him some kind of crap, but I don't know. I mean, I guess anything could go wrong. Like it could have been a kid, like some random kid that kicked it,
yeah,
you know. So
I don't really know because
I don't know.
I don't know if it like was as intentional as people are thinking or not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't say.
Yeah. Blessed Turtle also said, I'm super happy I called out on a Brill returning, even though I shouldn't really be happy. It was super obvious she was going to return, and now she's going to team up with Elijah. I don't know. I guess I didn't like put the pieces together that she would return.
Yeah, I must have missed. I was gonna say, I was like, I must have missed something. I mean, I
But I feel
remember.
like, oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I remember because I saw Brandon's story about like Elijah returning.
Yeah.
Because he just like posted from Paramount or whatever. Um, but yeah, I didn't. I wasn't thinking that Abro was gonna return.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess because the LaFierre stuff was like end of season 3, beginning of
Yeah,
season 4. I was about to say it was the end of season 4, and I'm like, whoa, no, that's no.
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like there's been so much that's happened that it's kind of like, okay, LaFierre is gone, like, Lopez is safe. They just have to deal with Elijah. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I just kind of forgot about Brill returning. Or didn't think of it. So Blessed Turtle also said, we didn't get any Chenford, which is a little disappointing, but they more than made up for it, in my opinion. Loved seeing everyone working together. Same. I want more of it. Like another episode or 2 of that, please.
yeah,
This season. They also said the episode was a little more Nolan centric, which probably didn't set well with a lot of fans. But caught him a break, like his mom died. And they said, of course, he was going to get a huge amount of focus in the episode, and that's fine by me. Yeah, I mean, Nolan's always going to get like a huge part of the episode. I mean,
yeah.
he's the main character, so. Which, not saying that we always have to be happy with that, but like, I mean,
It
it's
just
just how it
is what it
is.
is. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm glad that we're on the same wavelength.
yeah, like literally one brain cell tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Literally, yeah, yeah. And it's just hanging by a thread, thinking about Brenson, pretty much.
For me, yeah. Especially.
Yeah. Yeah. So Blessed Turtle also said, lastly, the dedication to Annie Wershing at the end was very touching. Agreed. It was very touching.
Yeah, because they like had her photo and everything. I was like,
Yeah.
oh. Because you know how sometimes shows will just have the name or like, in
Yeah.
memory of. And I'm like, oh, they put her picture. Like that's so nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's about it for the rookie. I mean, not much else besides I don't know. It was a solid episode to me, but maybe it's because I didn't see any of the Twitter stuff before. So I literally went into it like all I saw was our live tweets and anything that was retweeted on our account.
My live tweets were so like general and emoji filled last night. I was just like, because I would like try to think of the perfect thing, and then like the next scene would be happening, and I'm like, shoot, I gotta like tweet this and move on.
That always happens to me. I always fall behind with the live tweeting. I'm like, oh my God, just like put it out. But yeah, no, I don't know, because I was like babysitting my niece and nephew, and I was like seeing these tweets, and I'm like, wait, I'm kind of ruining it for myself. But I was like, but also I kind of want to like read these tweets. So yeah, but it was a good episode, I thought. So now we'll move on to Rookie Feds. Take us away.
All right. So it's titled Dead Again, which was a very appropriate name for the episode, honestly. And we'll start off with the murder investigation. And so, well, like I guess the not really cold open, but the very, very beginning of the episode, we see a man tied to a chair apologizing, and then 2 like gunshots. And then the title card comes and everything. So that man that we saw at the beginning turned out to be Paul Morrison, and he was an investment banker. But he was killed 6 years ago because his wife Vanessa was tried and convicted for murdering him. And I loved Simone's delivery, or Niecy's delivery rather, of this man looked like he was breathing 6 hours ago. Like there's no way he could have been killed 6 years ago.
Simone had some like good one-liners this episode, I thought.
Was so good. And their like excuses for when they show up late were hilarious. Like Brendon was doing hot yoga and Simone has to deal with the box situation at her house, which I will get into later. But yeah, it just, oh my God, they cracked me up. Yeah. And so when they realize that Paul is like now actually dead, Simone and Brendon assume, oh, well, if Vanessa killed him now, she can't be tried again for the same crime because of double jeopardy. And not gonna lie, I was thinking the exact same thing. And I just loved Laura's line of like, says the former actor who watches way too many movies. Like she just didn't have time. Like both her and Carter were like, okay, yeah, but here's what is actually going on. Like they just wanted to tell them like they were wrong so bad.
Before or between Laura and Simone, they had the best one-liners. Like they really did. The Rookie Feds brought the sass in this episode.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Definitely. And so Carter's the one that pointed out, since Vanessa's murder conviction would get overturned, then this is a new crime because there are new circumstances. So, which I don't know. I honestly kind of want, because I'm just a nerd and like I want to like look into that more of like how that can possibly be. Because I seriously was so on board. I was like, oh yeah, no, she can't be tried again because it's double jeopardy. But I'm assuming it's just because he wasn't like, there's no, like that Taylor Swift song, there's like no body, no crime. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if that was it or like, I don't know. Anyway, sorry, geeking out over here. Okay. So Carter corrects them, and Garza tells them that that Simone and Carter are going to go talk to Paul's sister, Donna, and she has been raising his son, Sammy. And there's so many names, my gosh, because Vanessa
Yeah.
had contacted Donna about wanting to see her son. And like this whole case like kind of hits hard for Simone because like when she was young, when her father went to prison for something that he didn't do, and like while Simone's mom held the family together, Sammy doesn't have that because his mom was put away for killing his father, even though that wasn't true. And so they because Donna had told them that Sammy was at soccer practice, and so they arrived to see Vanessa show up there and like try to, you know, make contact, but they stop her before she can get too far. And then it like cuts to three men digging up Paul's grave. Like obviously he's not in there.
Right.
And like we find out the one guy's name later, but one of the guys was like been screwed over by a dead guy for the second time. And a worker like sees them and says he's gonna call security, but they shoot him and dump the body, so he can't do anything. I just like every single time I see a person that's like, I'm gonna call security or I'm gonna call the police, I'm like, just run away and go to your car, or like, I don't know, just like go somewhere else. Like, don't just stand there in front of criminals. I mean, I get it, it's just TV, but like, oh my gosh.
But like, if you're gonna call security or whatever, fine. But like, run away before you do it, or at least get further away from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yes, he can't do anything at the moment. And it cuts over because Simone and Carter, they brought Vanessa in, and so they're questioning her, and Carter and Matt, I guess I should say, are interrogating her. And she says that there were signs that Paul had faked his own death 6 years ago. Taking phone calls at all hours, making extravagant purchases. And so they assume that he took on a shady client and then had to hide from them, which is why he had to fake his own death. And since Paul left Vanessa to rot in jail to save himself, she's not sad that he's dead, but she also didn't kill him this time or the last time.
I mean, I can understand why she's not like showing emotion over him being dead. Like, he did her wrong. So,
yep. And she was, I guess, at her halfway house, like when he was murdered. And so her alibi does check out. And Simone's all excited to get her like released. But she still violated her parole by visiting Sammy. So there's a process, even though the terms of her parole are now invalid. But Garza tells her not to worry because he's going to fast track Vanessa's release. And so they're still trying to figure out, though, who killed Paul. Like, even though they have the Vanessa piece kind of sorted out, they still don't know who actually did the murder. And I love how Antoinette was in here more. I mean, I know like partially because of Brendon, but I was just like, yes, she can like show off her skills. I was so excited. I just love her.
I feel like she's been integrated more into the team lately, which I love.
Yeah.
Maybe it is because she's dating Brendon, or maybe it's just because they need her for these certain type of cases, but I love it.
Yeah. And Antoinette had found a parking slip within Paul's effects, and she was like, because Brendon had stopped by or whatever just to see how things were going and if she had anything. And figuring that he would ask for security footage from that parking lot, she pulled it, and it showed Paul handing over some passport photos, but the footage was too grainy at the time, so she sent it off for facial recognition. And then they're just cute and I like them. And they had a little, like, kiss. And then she's like, if we're gonna kiss, we have to be smart about it. Which, I mean, I guess I can't blame her because I realize like the lab's like clear
Right.
glass like around them. So obviously, like, hello,
Yeah.
everyone can see them. Um, I just love how she pulled
And
him
they
by
do
the
work at the
tie.
FBI. Like they have to
That's
be a
true.
little bit more careful and professional.
Yeah. But Brendan's just like, I think he just likes giving compliments to people and just like telling
Uh-huh.
them that they do a good job.
He's literally just sunshine.
Yeah. He's just the best. We love him. But
Yes.
yeah, she pulled him by the tie, which was absolutely hilarious. I love when like women are just like, nope, okay, we're doing this, like just come here.
Yeah.
And
Like
so
Lucy in 501.
yeah, kind of. Yeah. Um, and so they go into like a little, I don't know what, like it's not even an alcove, it's just like a little corner of the lab
Mhm.
to kiss there. And so there we go. And then she's like, okay, now we have to go back to work. So she just like I just find it so funny. She can just like turn it on, turn it off, like switch, and then
She can have her cake and eat it too. I mean,
mhm.
love that for her.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the next person they're going to talk to, because they like cut over, so I'm assuming facial recognition obviously came back, and then like either Antoinette or Garza like sent it to
Yeah.
Brendan and Laura like as they're driving or whatever. Because they're on the way to go find Wally Sanborn, and he's the funeral director and the person that Paul was handing the passports off to. Because he's in the ID business, creating new identities is like the perfect side hustle. I can't speak. Side hustle for morticians because they have access to like all the recent death records and social security numbers and all that
I
stuff.
mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would trust a mortician for a fake ID, but I guess. I mean,
Yeah, I didn't even really like consider it to be like I just wouldn't have even put
yeah.
that together. And so this was part of the um well, we see the part of the sneak peek when they get there of
Right.
the, Brendan being like, no, this creeps me out. And Laura's like, no, it's nothing to be afraid of. And then of course, here's a noise. She like jumps 10 feet and then he laughs at her, which was great. Although I swear to God, because like I said, I watched these clips like 4 times. Swear to God, he kind of jumped too and like looked over, like had the same expression that she
Yeah,
did.
because when he was laughing, he was like doubled over in laughter or whatever. He was further away from her, like out of shot, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but anyway, details. Um, and so they like follow the sound, and Wally's literally burning evidence as they walk in. And
Yeah.
oh my God, I was just like, the dude is like literally like, oh, I'm not doing anything. And Brent's like, you are literally burning evidence here, sir. Like,
Yeah.
you need to knock it off. Um,
Brendan was sassy in that moment.
yeah, he
I was
was.
like, well, I mean, he has a right to be. He is literally burning evidence.
Yeah, yeah. And so Wally throws ashes rather. Poor Brendan got most of it. Although I saw like when they were chasing him, like Laura had some like on her
Yeah.
face, so it must have gotten some of her too. I don't know, but yeah, poor Brendan got the most of it. And he's like, "Oh God, you have to be kidding me!" And then like I just thought it was so funny because like I don't know if it was just like part of the scene. Like I don't know how actors get stuff thrown at them or whatever. If it
Yeah.
was just like Kevin having to like steady himself or whatever, but then like Britt had to push
Yeah.
his arm out of the way and be like, "Come on." So I just thought it was funny. They do literally chase this man. Like this was like a long like chase scene, but it was like done right. Like I
Yeah, it
appreciate
wasn't like the
it.
15-minute one
No.
of Nolan. And what was that, season 4? Yeah, that was just last
Yeah.
season
Yeah.
where they're like hobbling.
Yeah. The hobble in a warehouse. Yeah.
Oh my God, that was,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was comedic, but
Mhm.
also just like, okay, is this done now?
Yeah. Yeah. And so they're running through the moratorium. Wally's like pulling out dead bodies and tossing them in their way as they're
Which
chasing
is
him.
literally so gross.
I was just like, oh my God. Like I like my reactions were like Laura's reactions because she was like, oh my gosh, like what is this? Oh gosh. I don't
Like,
know.
when they do a chase scene and like, the person who's running usually like knocks over stuff to like get them to
Yeah.
stumble or whatever.
Yeah.
This dude was literally throwing like dead bodies at them to
Yeah.
try
It
and get
was,
them to
oh my God, it
stop.
was gross. But it was
Like,
also, it was kind of funny. Just, I
yeah.
mean, just because of their reactions, because they had to like stop and like like, I don't know, like regroup or like move around.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, it was,
And they had ash on their face, which it wasn't even like, I mean, it was ash, but it was like tiny body fragments or whatever. Like,
mhm,
God, they were really going through it.
yeah. Hmm.
Every time they go to like question a suspect, they're always going through it.
Yeah. People, I mean, like people don't like the police, but then they like really don't like the FBI. So, um, yeah, and then they had to like run through an actual funeral going on, and they almost think that Wally's gone when they hear him sneeze, and
Hmm.
surprise, he's hiding in a coffin. So they,
Yeah.
pick him up, and I love how Laura was like on the phone and was like, he's gotten away, and then they hear
Hmm.
him sneeze. And poor Brendon was like, I think I really swallowed that ash. Like the man was just not having a good day.
No.
Not at all. And this man, oh my God. Wally just like he is just like the king in this episode of evading questions. Just by
Yeah.
just solely by giving them the runaround and talking in circles, basically. Um, because I mean, he did tell him it turns out that Paul was a repeat customer of Wally's, even though that broke his number one rule, which don't have repeat customers. And Paul had told him he needed a new identity and then he was going to pick something up in town, but he didn't say what. And which also is like rule number one, don't ask questions. And I
Hmm.
love how Laura was like, I think that was number two. And he's like, wait, what? And she's like, never mind, continue. Um, and but he won't actually give them the identity that he gave to Paul because his
Hmm.
number one rule is now never work for free. So the man just like changes his answers every 5 seconds. Is great.
Yeah. I was gonna say his number one rule changes every single day.
Yeah,
Depending on his mood, it changes.
I'm sure. And
Yeah.
just oh my, they were just moods like the whole entire time. Like Brendon's like, oh my God, like he was done
Yeah.
with it. Laura was done with it. I I mean, I don't blame them. And so they're kind of stalled a little bit, obviously, with Wally's lack of information. And so, but they do have a lead because they, the shooting from earlier is the shooting that they're referring to here. And the bullet from the cemetery matches the same one that killed, like it's from the same one that killed Paul. So it's likely the same shooter, but Brendan's like, well, what the heck were they doing at a
Mhm.
cemetery? And Garza says, well, they were there to dig up Paul's grave. And so Laura thinks, oh, well, then maybe he actually hid the money there, and that's what they were after.
Yeah.
And so we cut back over to Vanessa, and she's like free, but there are still steps that they have to take to get her exonerated. And a lot of her family and friends deserted her during this time, and so she's kind of all alone. But Simone has the good idea to take Vanessa to Cuddy's bakery, and he gives Vanessa some advice, which I love how their family mottos like have pie. Like pie can solve everything. Like
Yes.
we'll talk about it, but first we have to have a piece of pie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that was
it's only right.
mhm. Yeah. And so Wally, I'm assuming since he was in the process of getting, a deal, he actually did give up Paul's Paul's old identity. And he was known as Nicholas Jones, and he lived in Salt Lake City. He was an insurance salesman, was married but no kids. So Brendon and Laura are on the way to Salt Lake, and they get to take the jet. So that was fun because I literally thought, like, I didn't expect the next scene that we got from them. So I just
Yeah.
thought that we were going to see the jet in the air, and then that was going to be it, and then they were going to be there. But no, they blessed us
They
this
could have been in the
episode.
jet though, and they could have made it to the Mile High Club. I'm just saying.
You're killing me. Killing me.
But also just like Brendon and Laura just being in the jet, like the two badasses that they are. I loved that. It
Yeah.
was like
Well,
just
they're both
them
like dressed really nice. And I was
thinking
just like,
things.
they look like they're going somewhere fancy, like not to like
Yeah.
do a business thing or something, not to go like question someone.
Yeah. Wait,
I'm
you've
sure they
wrote
weren't.
Brenson fanfics, right? You haven't posted them or anything yet, but like you've wrote an undercover one.
Mhm.
I feel like you should write a private jet one now.
Oh God, I'm not good at like that, like that kind of.
Well, and it's hard too because Brenson is not there
No,
yet, if they ever will
no,
be.
yeah, no.
But you could like base it off the Chenford one.
Oh God.
Just make it Brenson.
Oh Lord. No, well, see, I'm not even. That's the thing is like I don't know if I see them as like a romantic ship or platonic. Like
Yeah.
I love just any scene that they have. So I'm
Yeah.
like good with whatever we get. So
Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, we
Off
do get a
track.
scene of them on the jet. Yeah, just not that kind of scene. And so it like I just thought it was kind of funny how they cut at like the tail end of whatever Brendon was telling Laura about how he messed up with Antoinette. And she's like, well, you basically gave her your help even though she didn't ask for it. And then your ego got in the way. And then you really didn't listen to her. And he's like, well, how do I fix it? And she's like, figure it out. Like she has no time. She's like, just figure it out. I'm not, I'm your training agent, not your life coach. So but then they just, oh my gosh, I thought that was gonna be it. But then he was like, oh, well, you'd make an excellent life coach. Life coach. And she's like, can you stop talking? Like, shut up. It was great. So, and
Gosh, I
like,
love them.
they're just so good. Just sunshine and grumpy in that scene, basically,
Yes.
too. Yeah, they just love them. And like, I don't know if it's like a Kevin thing or if it's like a for Brendon's character thing, but he does the like smile and then look down. Like a
Like
lot.
bashful.
Yeah, kind
Yeah.
of.
I feel like it's probably a Brendan thing.
Like at the end of like certain interactions with
Yeah.
people.
I feel like it's a Brendan thing, and it's just because he's shy, trying to like figure himself out. So, like, who
Yeah.
he is besides his actor identity.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That was a fun scene. I mean, he's not wrong. Laura would make a good life coach, but she's, she's a good
I feel like
profiler.
she would get annoyed with people.
I mean,
I
she
mean, she
probably,
already does.
yeah, fair. she'll just be Brendan's unofficial life coach.
She'll give people advice and then be like, you know what, never mind. I don't even care if you take this advice.
Yeah. Well, like I was surprised that I mean, obviously we didn't see the whole conversation, but I was just surprised Laura was actually listening to Brendon like talk
Yeah.
about his relationship problems in the first place.
Yeah.
Because like episode 1, Laura would never.
Yeah. I'm surprised
So,
she didn't like zone out.
yeah. Hmm. But yes, we got that scene. They're fun. Love them. And Garza had sent Carter and Simone to talk to the cemetery guard because he was getting out of surgery, like he's gonna be okay. And while they're walking to the room, Simone notices that Carter's looking around the hospital, and she's like, whatever it is, it's your fault, referring to what happened with him and Fortune. And I just thought it was so funny. Like the men did have a weird vibe this episode.
They did.
As Simone said later. Like, yeah, they did. They were messing things up. But then they, make amends too. So that's good. And so they're here to talk to Mr. Irwin, and he only remembers a white van and the partial license plate of PCI. And I seriously didn't think that was actually going to help them. Like,
Really?
I didn't think they were going to get results. No. Yeah, I really didn't think so.
I thought it was interesting how he related it, like how he remembered it. I mean, I don't know. I don't find it weird because I kind of do the same thing, but more so with numbers, like, oh, that's a specific date or whatever. But
well, yeah, I mean, I
thought
can
it was
understand
interesting.
I can understand his like memory tactic. I just didn't know if they would. I just thought there'd be more white vans and like a million different, license plates.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we get another, much like the rookie did with Guatemala, the rookie feds did the little Salt Lake City title across the page. And Brendan and Laura are there to speak to, well, he's known as Nicholas, but it's Paul's wife, Susie, and they have a warrant to search the property too. And Susie had said they met 4 years ago when she was a flight attendant and appeared not to know anything about his past. And we'll find out later why that is not the case. Garza ran the partial plate that Mr. Irwin gave Simone and Carter, and they had like 4 hits total in the Los Angeles area, but like one that was more local, belonging to a Leon McTavish. It was quite a name. And so Garza sends Carter and Simone to a warehouse address that is linked to Leon to check out. And SWAT's already there, going to like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. The whatever tool they use to like maneuver the lock on the gate. I just can't think of what it's called at the moment. But they get the lock off and they're like ready to go in. And of course, the rookie has a shootout, the rookie feds has a shootout. There's just all the gunfire.
Yeah.
Night. And yeah, so a shootout ensues. And I mean, Simone like got a good shot in at one of the guys. But then the other 2 got away in was it a green car? Sort of a green color car.
Like a green sports car.
Yeah. And I just thought it was funny how like Simone got in the driver's seat automatically because Carter was still busy like calling out that they had fled the scene, and she's like stops the car like, are you coming? And they literally like the camera still panned to like James getting in the car, and then it like the music started again, and I was like, that was brilliant. Like, I love stuff like that.
She made sure to stop for him and was like, get in.
Yeah. And so Simone's in the driver's seat. She's putting her driver's ed skills to good use and chases down the car in their SUV. Poor Carter is holding on for dear life. But she manages to ram their SUV into the green car a couple times and like causes it to spin out and stop so then they can pick up the 2 inside. And so Simone and Carter question Leon and they ask him who tipped him off, because they know that he got a call from a Salt Lake City number, but he's like, I'm not telling you, I want my lawyer. But they do like it. They do the thing where, they have the music build and then they cut over and then who it is. So Leon knew Paul was alive and in town because Susie tipped him off. And see, I didn't catch any of this either of like why. I just had looked up again when I was live tweeting to see like Laura was doing her like sassy profiling thing. And then I was like, why'd she do it? So Susie and Paul were having an affair that started 7 years ago, and she knew all about Vanessa and Sammy. And I don't know if it's like Britt's delivery or like Kevin or just I mean, I guess like Niecy and James will do it too sometimes. Like the delivery of just they're like guessing what like why these people did what they did or the steps that they took to do it, but they're obviously correct. And she's like, let me guess, it was your idea to steal the money and start a whole new life in Salt Lake. It was also your idea to bury the money at the gravesite. Because you dug it up the second Paul gave you something to question. And so Paul was just going to steal the money and trade Susie for a new wife, but she wasn't going to be the woman scorned, so to speak. And so they come back. Because like, okay, we saw Brendon and Laura like get on the jet to like go back, and then they had to go back and talk to Susie again, but we were robbed of them going back to LA like the second time. But I will live, it's okay, because they're gonna because like I was like, okay, they're gonna like go home, they actually have like they've caught her, like it's good. But they don't have enough evidence to make a case right now. And so they will freeze Susie's assets, and sooner or later she's going to need money. So they'll get her when she tries to get access to money. So they're playing the long game, as Garza told Simone. So that's kind of that part of the case wrapped up. And then as far as Vanessa goes, Cuddy, I guess, like brought a lawyer named Ivy into his bakery, and she's going to work on Vanessa's case pro bono to get her exonerated. And Cuddy's also going to help Vanessa get custody of Sammy. And like Donna's kind of on board with this, and like wants to help her reintegrate into her son's life, which I thought was really nice. So
yeah, I thought it was a nice like tender moment with Cuddy. Like because we always see him questioning Simone and like her job and everything, that it was nice to see him like getting in and helping Simone out and like helping the feds out kind of like indirectly. So
and so we just have a little bit more with the rest of the kind of not side storylines but relationships and whatnot. So for Brendon,
let's be serious, these are not side storylines, they're like extras. They're extras. Yeah,
that's true, because listen, okay, you want to talk about extra, like Brendon was so extra in this, like I get it, he means well, but like, oh my gosh, because he had dropped by the lab earlier in the episode, and Antoinette was speaking into a camera, and he was like, it might help if you turn it on. And she's just kind of, a lot on her mind because she's been tasked with making a training video for Quantico, and she has to shoot it and edit it herself on top of her actual job. And she has, I'm gonna forget the name of it again, a ring light, I think is what they're called. Oh, and you want to know what else? I just remembered the thing that they used to cut the lock open, or like pliers. Like, what is wrong with me? I couldn't remember that word.
Weren't you saying it was something like mechanical?
I don't know. I don't even know what I was saying. Someone can like rewind and tell me later. I don't know. But anyway, so he like gives her a tip about the lighting. He's like, front facing is bad, off to the side is good. And she was like, "Do you really want to start off the day by telling me I look terrible?" And he's like, "No, you look amazing always. Lighting's terrible." Like he's just so they're just great. Love them. They're
I
fun.
love how he like made up for it. He was like, no, you're good. It's
Yeah.
just the lighting.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, I'm not trying to like make you mad or offend you or anything.
Yeah. And so a little bit later on, we see Brendon's full on directing the video for Antoinette. He's brought in cue cards, a whole freaking camera crew, and yes, more lights. And we see Antoinette getting frustrated because he's stopping her, every what seems like every 5 seconds to get touch-ups, redo lines. And she does another take, and it was perfectly fine in her opinion, but it wasn't what Brendon was envisioning. And she's basically like, newsflash, it's not your video, it's mine.
And I feel like he forgot that this is a training video. Like, it's not like it's a commercial or anything.
No, it felt very commercialized.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it wasn't a commercial. It's not like, I don't know. Like, I saw the cue cards and I was just like instantly transported back to America's Next Top Model, where they shot CoverGirl commercials, and there was a whole camera crew and they had cue cards and everything. And that's just what it reminded me of. Yeah, so like Antoinette's getting frustrated and she's done with it. She calls him a selfish, I really can't speak, selfish, pretentious moron in French. So yeah, that didn't, because he was like, and that's a wrap. Like, we're done. Video's
I feel
done.
like she kind of forgets that he knows French.
I mean, I think he was just, I'm pretty sure he understood it. I just don't think he was expecting it, like her to say it. And towards the end of the episode, he apologizes in French, saying he was a pretentious moron who didn't listen to her, and he's very sorry for it. She tells him that he gets one free pass because she knows why he did it. Like, he spent his whole life on sets and, in movies, TV, that kind of thing. Like, he has that outlet, or since he no longer has that outlet, he kind of went overboard this time. And since he doesn't have that outlet anymore, Antoinette signed them up for an introductory painting class, which I don't know if this was intentional or not, but like the way he said painting, like he did not sound excited at all.
No. I was waiting for him to be like, painting? Really? Can we do something else?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just like not a medium that he's tried, like actual art.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like audiovisual media. But yeah. So I don't know, but can we see them like do that though? It'd be so fun.
A Mark and Laura and Brendon and Antoinette double date. Let's go. Let's go. They can go and paint. Laura can get drunk or tipsy.
Like, if they went to go paint, Laura would probably throw the canvas across the room because something goes wrong. Like, I could see it.
And Mark would be like, "Oh, that's Laura for you."
Yep. He'd probably be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just go find her."
Stop. Oh my gosh. And Brendon just is happily painting along, not even minding what Laura did. He's just like, okay, I'm gonna paint a pretty sunset.
I don't know. He just didn't like, it was just not the like response that I thought he was going to give.
Or he was saying it like that and he's like a really good painter. He just didn't want to like come off
maybe
as like, oh, I'm talented at everything.
Maybe. And he was like, well, at least let me get the supplies. They're expensive. And she's like, I already have oil paints. They were a gift from my ex-boyfriend. And she's like, who also didn't listen. So she kind of says that as I don't know if it was quite like a warning, but it was good.
I think it was more like a joke. Like, hey, I wear the pants in this relationship.
Yeah. Which I can appreciate that. Because she is very, like, she knows what she wants. She knows what she doesn't want. And she's not afraid to vocalize that. So, Good for her.
Yes.
So yeah, that was a little bit about Brendon and Antoinette. And then for Carter and Fortune, they were kind of in the beginning of the episode. Carter was back in the hospital with a head injury, quote unquote. So he could see Fortune. Although they get interrupted by her pager. I don't know what nurses have. Are they pagers, beepers? I don't know. Going off, and so she has to go back to work, but they will meet up later tonight, and a little bit later on, he's kind of walking back and forth a little bit in the hospital waiting for her, and he's on the phone though. He is talking to his ex-wife, and he is saying how, no, you're not going to take my son halfway across the country, and so it's inferred that, or implied that, his wife's gonna take his son to New Orleans and try to get full custody. And so this leads him to be a little bit standoffish towards Fortune, especially when I don't really know what to call this, like, admission that she shared, like a inkling of baby fever. I don't know.
Yeah, kind
Like,
of.
I didn't really know what to call it. Because she originally had never considered like having kids because she has a ridiculous relationship with her mom, but the newborn that she was taking care of at work, quote, woke something in her, unquote.
Even then, though, I felt like it was so early to bring that up. Like, yeah, you know him and everything, and he knows your mom, he knows your background a little bit, but like, I don't know, I feel like that's a little early to be like, I don't know, I guess, yeah, you talk about your work day, but then like her saying, I never really thought about having kids, but like this just like awoke something in me. Like, I don't know, I feel like that could have been left out, but I guess obviously for this sake, I wanted to show a little bit of tension.
Mm,
But I
yeah,
feel like in normal cases, it's kind of early to bring that up.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it kind of just showed that there are kind of, faux pas in relationships that happen. So I kind
Yeah,
of liked that aspect of it.
right.
But yeah, so he's kind of acting a little bit different. Obviously not for that reason, but she she assumes that it's for that reason because he supposedly gets called back into work, but not really. Which I think when I was live tweeting, I actually thought that he did get called into work because, again, I wasn't looking up at the screen. I was looking at my phone. So I
Yeah.
literally just heard him say that was work. So my live tweet is incorrect. At least I'm assuming, because he didn't, like, the phone didn't uh like vibrate or chime or
hmm
whatever to like signal a call or text. So yeah, so Fortune is suspicious because she thinks that maybe he's scared off by what she told him. Um, and I like how he kind of listened to Simone's advice in a way, though, because she was like, just be honest and apologize. And that's what he did.
Yeah.
He came back and he apologized for how he acted and explained it was because of the phone call he had with his ex, about the full custody, like trying for full custody and possibly taking his son to New Orleans. And he admits he's not the best at communicating, but he wants to improve that and like do more for this relationship to work. And Fortune accepts his apology and appreciates its candor. He reassures her that he wasn't freaked out by what she had shared earlier, and the two seemed to be back to where they were, which was happy. So, like, we're good. Because I was worried about like both of these
Yeah.
relationships. I was like, oh no, one of them's going to end, and then we're gonna have like a, like, not sob story, but just like a, breakup ridden Carter
hmm
or Brendon. But
Yeah.
I don't think so. So yeah, so it's kind of it for them. And then last but not least, we have Kari and Simone. And Simone, I had mentioned earlier about she thinks there's this box situation, and she was going through the garage and finds a box of things that Cuddy had kept locked. And she was like just going through the garage. She found like old jeans she had. She found other kind of, vintage things. But since the box is locked, she can't open it. And she asks him what is inside, and he gets kind of protective over it. Not telling her what's in it and to keep out of his things. And so on their way to work, which I thought it was so good that like Brendon and Simone rode into work together. I was like, yay.
Yeah.
Because just because they're split off with their TAs
Right.
usually, we don't
we don't see
as
their
much.
partnership or their friendship as much.
Yeah. And so she mentions to him that while she does want to know what's inside the box, her dad does have a right to privacy. She just doesn't want it to be some family curse, which, fair. And so towards the end of the episode, actually the end of the episode, I should say, Cuddy finally opens the box, and inside are a bunch of his late wife's things, including letters that she wrote to him while he was incarcerated. And Simone reads one of them aloud, and it was just like such a moving scene.
It was.
It was, yeah. It just goes to show how much their family leaned on each other during those times, and how, I don't know. And just in like, people don't write letters much anymore, or you don't like hear of letter writing as much. And so that was kind of cool that they had that blast from the past.
Well, and they put a timestamp, like more of a hard timestamp on when Cuddy was in jail during Simone's like childhood. Like, I didn't realize that she was like 9 or 10 at least while he was away. So
yep. So
it was good. That last scene moved me.
Yeah, it was really well done. And kind of like you had said earlier, like Cuddy and Simone were like working together in a way. Like, they weren't arguing. Like, they had a little bit of a disagreement, earlier in the morning or whatever. But then, he did open up, and it was a nice, moment for them. So I hope we get more of those types of things for them. So
I do like when he like kind of pushes back on her, like about her job or whatever, and kind of like questions it and stuff. But I also like when they work together and he like trusts her and he helps her out too. So
Yep. So we don't have any listener thoughts for the Rookie Feds episode. I have more thoughts, but I've already like screamed in all caps on Twitter, so you guys can just go see that if you haven't already.
I was gonna say I have thoughts on Brunson, but none of them are coherent. So yeah.
I don't know. Do we have any other thoughts to add on either episode?
I don't think so. I just have this one random question, and it stemmed from the Meet Us at Molly's episode on Friday that they did. Our friends over at Meet Us at Molly's, hey Gina, Brenna, love you guys. They did like a mailbag episode, and this is totally like disregarding the episode. But one of the questions was like, if you had a one Chicago dinner party, who would you invite? Like, top 5 people. And it got me thinking, and I was like, who would I invite to like a rookie Feds dinner party? Like, top 5. Doesn't matter who it is from each show.
Oh gosh.
I was like, oh, this is the hard one. But then I was like, also, it's not really hard because I know who I would invite, I think.
I just don't know who my 5th person would be.
Same. That was my issue, because I was like, well, I don't want to leave anyone out.
Oh gosh. Who would be good at like just in that environment? I'm like thinking practically. Maybe other people don't think practically. I don't know, because like Gray's really good at like doing like the speeches and like the,
Yeah.
celebration type things. I feel like he would be my fifth person. And I'm
Who would be
having
your other four though?
Chenford and Brenson. Having the four of them. Like, yeah, I need more scenes just because they're like both just, we got two sunshines and two like grumpy people. Just
They would
figuring
be
it
like in
out.
their own little world, and you and Gray would just be like, yeah,
Oh,
okay.
That's fine.
My dinner party would be Lucy, Brenton, Wesley,
Fair.
and I don't know who else. Like that's hard because I want Tim, but then I also want like Nyla
Fair.
or Selena.
Oh, Selena, yeah.
I know.
Oh,
So
this
I
is
don't
hard.
know.
Can't we
Like
have
my
top
fifth
10
could change.
people?
We could. I don't know. I
Yeah.
at first I just thought, well, like there's not that many characters on the Rookie and Rookie Feds. And then as I was going through it more, I was like, no, but there is. Like we could easily do 10 people, even like 8. Yeah, I don't know. That fifth person would change in and out a lot. Because I think even Aaron would be cool. He would totally catch on to like Brenson.
Yeah.
Totally call them out.
I mean, he could
Yeah, I
like
don't
party,
know.
like
Oh my
party,
gosh.
party,
Yeah.
like go to a club. I'd be like, yeah, sure, Aaron, let's go.
Let's go clubbing.
Yeah, he'd be good for that. That's fun.
Okay, what about top 10 then? You've still got
They're
Chenford and
already at
Brunson.
5, yeah. I mean, Nyla and Angela. So what is that? 5, 7. This is terrible that I can't do math. So I got 3 more. Mm,
What about like Tamara?
oh yeah, I love Tamara. Yeah, Tamara, Selena, and Wesley. Yeah,
Ooh, that would be a good table.
yeah. There we go. That's 10, I think.
I think for my top 10, I would do Brenson, Wesley, Lucy, Tim, Selena, Nyla.
I'm counting. No one can see it. I'm counting for her.
I'm glad that you are because I'm trying to keep it straight in my head.
You got 3 left.
It's been a long day. I think I would want Carter too, because I think Carter would just be
Oh,
funny.
yeah, he'd be hilarious.
And Aaron. And I don't know. Maybe like James, because I would want Wesley and James to just like have a romance.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
I would have, oh my God, the table would be so like separated though, because you would have Chenford, you would have Brunson, you would have Wesley and James just like
Brenton will
romancing
talk
it
to
up.
everyone though, because they're not even a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they might talk to each other if they don't get annoyed with
Yeah.
each other first.
At some point, it would just be me and Selena talking because everyone else would just be like in their own world, which would totally be fine with that. She can like talk about my astrological stuff.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that'd be fun.
I kind of
could,
wish
like,
that we got to see her more in the dress in this episode.
mm-hmm. I was just so surprised that like I was just like, well, okay, that's Selena. Like, why is she dancing and why are they watching? I was so confused for a second.
So I was like fast forwarding through my DVR commercials and like I saw the little preview and I was like, is that Tamara? Because like her hair was pulled back. And then I watched the scene. I was like, no, that's Selena. It's like, oh my gosh. I would have never thought. But I was kind of hoping that we would see her. And I saw that she was labeled as guest starring. So I was like, well, if Nolan's in Pennsylvania, what role does Selena have? So yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Oh, you want to know what I just thought of now, though?
What?
For like the rookie, it's not anything. It's kind of just like, it's not like not ominous or anything, but it kind of is a little bit. Just because it's like, okay, so the whole Elijah thing started by Wesley making a deal with him, like deal with the devil, part 1, to get Angela back. And now they're like back full circle.
Yeah.
Like Elijah's still there. Except now he's the one that's kind of made a lot of deals with everyone, and Wesley tried to make a deal with a
Yeah.
bro, and just like the same terminology was used. That's just nuts to me. Like a whole...
I thought you were gonna say something totally different. That's why
Oh,
I was like,
no.
what are you gonna say?
No, I just thought it's like so it's just so crazy to me because it like spanned from like 401, which then really backdates to, oh gosh, when did the La Fiera stuff start? Like beginning of season 3 or something.
Yeah,
Like
because season 3 only went to episode 14.
yeah, like 303 or 305 or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like it just whoa, like they got like 2 years worth of
Yeah.
stories kind of interconnected.
Yeah. I don't know. I just kind of hope that it's not setting up for something with Lopez, like
Yeah, well, I
them
don't need like a
moving or
401 thing.
yeah.
Like no.
Just because it's kind of been hinted at that, and I don't want it, but I can see it, I guess. Like, I don't know. I can see it. And I don't want to think that.
I mean,
Because I feel like they're just like they just got into their positions that they wanted. Like Angela's been a
right.
detective, she's doing great, and Wesley's finally in the DA's office. Like, yeah.
Right. Well, and I just got to thinking that at the end of the rookie episode, when Lopez is talking, Angela had mentioned that Garza talked to Elijah about, leaving them alone.
Mm-hmm.
No one's talking to Avril and being like, you can't go after them. So
yeah,
since they're working or Elijah and Avril are working together now, I'm like, I don't know.
Elijah can just tell Avril, like, hey, you have to go after them.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm nervous, but also just from I don't know, just because I just have such an interest in how television's made and like the choices they make.
mm-hmm.
I just like I can understand why they're building tension. They're, they're culminating to something. We just don't know what the something is.
I was gonna say, unless there's some kind of plot twist where like Elijah's still working with Angela, she knows that he's gonna go like talk with Avril, but then I was like, but even then that doesn't make any sense because like what does Avril have stake in Angela? Like I don't know. I was just like trying to figure out how this could be different and it can't. So I'm just gonna, yeah. I don't have any other thoughts though.
Yeah,
I just had that one question.
I think I've like talked myself in circles accidentally.
Yeah. And I feel like if I like keep talking about the rookie, which I can always do, I feel like I'm just gonna keep thinking of ways that this could all go badly. And I don't want that. So
yeah.
I'm just gonna say my happy little Brenson era, like Brenson Cloud.
Yeah. Fair. So with that, you guys can find us on Twitter at the Shop Talk Pod _ or email us at shoptalktherookiepodcast@gmail.com with all of your thoughts. And we are both also on Twitter. I'm at Kari Hyman.
And I'm at JStark804.
And we are also on TikTok. We are at the Shop Talk Podcast _ for that handle. And as always, we have our TeePublic store. We have, rookie merch and Rookie Feds merch. We're working on getting more designs going. So, yeah, if you want merch, just be sure to check that out. And if you liked this podcast episode and Shop Talk, please leave us a rating and review. It really helps us out and helps other fans find us as well. And we will be back next week with, let's see, what is it? 516 of the rookie and 116 of the rookie feds next week. So we'll be talking all things Valentine's Day a week after Valentine's Day.
That's so funny that you said that because if you didn't, I was going to.
Yeah.
Like probably that same way.
Yeah. Well, I was still just like, gosh, they had it set up so nicely. Like it aired on Valentine's Day and it's not Valentine's Day episodes because they do it for Halloween. They had it,
Yeah.
like right there for Halloween. But anyway,
I don't know. It still just doesn't really make
It's
any
fine.
sense to me because wouldn't they have known that the State of the Union was going to be that night? Like, why
Well, and
didn't
it
they
didn't
just
even
flip the
affect
episodes to
them though.
begin
Like
with?
it did. Ugh, I don't know.
I don't know.
Ugh,
I feel like they could have just flipped the
Anyway.
episodes, unless
yeah. Like I don't know.
wait, there is
Well, I
mention
don't
of a
know.
militia
Oh yeah, that's true.
in episode 16, so maybe it had to like set up.
Yeah.
But like the militia detonated in a highly that militia's not traveling from Foxburg, Pennsylvania to Los Angeles,
Oh God.
California.
No, I hope
And then
not.
they do?
Oh Jesus. That's fine. If they do,
Oh my
Bailey and
God.
Nolan will be on the front line, like ready to go.
John really has bad luck then.
Yeah, that would be absolutely terrible. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible.
That wouldn't be on my bingo card for
No.
season 5. It would not be.
Oh dear.
But
yeah. So we will be back with those episodes next week. And I think that's it for us. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
right. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Go get him, boo.